Hello there survivors and welcome back to another video in ARK Survival Ascended. Today I'm showing you around the Jurassic Park, me and my community build in ARK Survival Ascended. This was a really fun custom event that I hosted for the past few weeks. This is the land park, so all the land enclosures that we managed to get done in this time. This was all built in survival. A lot of these builds use the bunker structure custom cosmetics, but also mods like Architect Structures Remastered, wall and floor deco, and of course people can use other cosmetics if they want to, and all that together makes for some really cool and incredible builds. Now, just a little heads up before we get started, there won't be any tutorials for these builds unless they're my own. In that case, the tutorials are actually already done for these builds, so you can already go ahead, but mostly it's meant to give you some inspiration for your own projects if you're working on things, and especially if you're looking for some Jurassic Park inspired builds, because there is quite a few of them. Some really cool enclosures, a breeding facility, a research laboratory as well, the innovation center for Jurassic World. We got a Quetzal Dome, we got a Pteranodon Dome, we got a Dimorphodon Dome. We have all sorts of cool builds to take a look at today. So if you enjoy what you're seeing here, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and feel free to leave suggestions for builds you'd like to see in the future, or maybe even events you'd like to see in the future down in the comments below. Now this is where the Jurassic World really gets into it. This of course is a build inspired by the Inspiration Center from the first Jurassic World movie, in a very cool and clean modern design, as you can see, with a big plaza all around it, with some cool details, with all these skeleton statues around, some really nice vistas to view here with the different seating options, and just a really cool round designs here with all these circle magic tricks to get proper circles into ARK. Yeah, really cool design, and also try to keep it playable for console players, which is always a big challenge, but yeah, they can still visit here. Looks quite cool, definitely gives the Jurassic Park vibes. Perfect spot here in the green Ob Valley, which has a lot of flat space, which is great for building, as you can see. And yeah, it's got some really cool details in here, especially once we get to the inside. There's some information here, there's some really cool big pictures right away, and you will see a really cool interior as well. Like there's a little gift shop, custom signs of course made by Wild. This whole build was done by Nessa. I keep forgetting to say who built what. I'm gonna have to do some in the editing, I suppose. Yeah, we have some really cool decorations around here. Very cool looking gift shop with loads of little details, which is very, very cute. A lot of little things like that. And then we have, of course, another entrance over here. We have Dino Bites here, which is like a little cafe where you can get something to drink, sit down, relax, and look at how cozy this is too. It's really, really nice. Then if we go the other side, we actually have a staircase down in to the actual innovation center, where it's kind of like a museum and everything kind of combined. We have different zones. So this is the discovery zone with like a lot of information, some eggs. It's really, really cool actually, the way this is like decorated with all these I think a lot of this is like wall and floor deco, as well as the trophy table mod, which allows you to actually display all the trophies you can collect in the game, which is actually a really smart thing. I wish that was an actual thing in ARK where you could display the trophies. I mean, they are trophies after all, so it does kind of make sense you'd be able to display them. We got the innovation zone, of course, where all the innovations for the park happen. So we've got some really cool cryo fridges. I think this is from the cryo fridge catalog, and some things from Dino Depot maybe, you know, futuristic things happening here. Making everything possible in the park. Lots of these really cool little displays with creatures around. some more awesome displays here. I think this is again using a lot of the wall and floor deco, which really has some cool things in it to display and decorate in your bases, which just really fun little touch to it all. We're now in the history zone. I feel like I was just there and I'm now leaving it again. And then we have some more things over here. It's like the hatchling zone. So I think this is like a little kid's playground, basically, where yeah, you can kind of chill. This might be supposed to be water. I don't know. We've got some issues with some cosmetics going on, but yeah, really cool build. I really like the way this one turned out. It's really, really cool, really detailed, and yeah, very nice. And then quite close to it, we have this research facility laboratory, which has a really cool design here, hovering between these two rocks next to the waterfall. And it's got some really cool and cozy designs going on. Well, here in the front, you can see this really nice, like, plaza on the outside, which is very friendly, very nicely decorated. But then for contrast, we have this very high security facility on the other side, because this is, you know, a research facility. They do some cloning and stuff here, so there is dangerous thing being made inside. So yeah, they need both. This is, I guess, the public facing entrance with some really cool statues. I think this is from Castlecraft, but just painted to make them in a different color. We have some nice decorations in here as well. You know, life finds a way. Yeah, it does. Lovely decorations in here. Very nice build, like a little lounge area to arrive in. We have a little balcony here as well, where I suppose you can get some nice food out here, looking down over that containment zone, but still very nice. And of course, a really cool view here of the waterfall right next door. And then if we go through the security gates here, we actually have the elevators now. These are ARK elevators, and we all know how great and how terrible those can be. There might also, yeah, there's a little survival like base built into this place too. I don't think we'll use the elevators because they're usually quite terrible, so we'll just fly up to the next level. We have some storage lockers here, and I think just 2 offices on this floor. So yeah, there's 2 different offices to work from here. But yeah, you do have some really cool views of the surrounding areas. And then if we continue up, we of course have the next layer, which is where all the research is taking place. So we have like DNA sequencing going on over here with some cool machinery. We have some fancy stuff going on here, as you can see with these machinery. Some of these machineries are just from the Moro creature mod, where you can actually make your own Moro or Indominus Rex and Raptor creatures. So yeah, we have the incubation here as well as the DNA extraction. You can see the machines in here. So this is where the research would take place. This is where they would make those creatures. We also still have a lovely area outside because, I mean, it's still a very nice and cozy build, even though there's some creepy things going on in here. We've got some Moser tanks up here with some really cool pipes from ASR to connect it all and get the industrial feeling here. I think that's just a generator. We have some more of those tanks over here as well. Yeah, it just makes for a really cool design and definitely feels like a proper research facility. I guess I should have popped a Moro Rex or Raptor in this thing here. There we go. Doesn't necessarily feel quite safe, but we can imagine this would be something. They probably would maybe keep just Raptors in there, because this thing is a little big for that. But it is contained. It's safe. It's definitely safe out there. Then one of the main enclosures out here, of course, is the Herbivore Enclosure. And since this needed to be quite big, it's mostly just a fence using the Bunker Structure Custom Cosmetics because they have the Dino Park fencing. But we do have these security entrances with the double door system. So hopefully nothing gets in or out without you intending to do so. So yeah, we have a bunch of herbivores mixed here. We've got a bunch of galleys. Got one of these greater trikes, which is a really cool mod that improves on trikes and makes them a lot cooler and a lot much more useful. They're a lot stronger as well. We got some really cool colors of galleys running around here. We've got some Diamantinas sleeping and wandering around in some spots. We have some, you know, your good old Stegos as well, of course. We have more Diamantinas here. We have the Greater Cantro, which is like a variant from the Paleo ARK team. We have some Parasaurs, of course, more Cantros. More of these Diamantinas, both sleeping and wandering. We got some Brackies, some really cool colors on the Brackies. Got another Stego, a bit bloody. We got a Greater Cantro, some other creatures. But yeah, you can see it's bustling in here because, I mean, there's a lot of herbivores. Actually, I think there's maybe even meant to be some more in there. But yeah, say they've got a pretty extensive range. We're using the awesome ARK tools to really keep it safe, having like a bubble so nothing spawns in here anymore. And we got this really cool watch post as well, kind of like a little tower that you can use to take a look at these beautiful creatures to study them. So yeah, we have a little arrival area here, gear closet as well, more gear over there. We can go all the way up. We have a little place to sit. Look at that. People can really do their work here, studying these awesome creatures. And then we have multiple levels where you can just kind of view the creatures all over this enclosure, which is, of course, very, very cool. Looks quite cool now that it's full. Usually it's not been inhabited for most of the part. We kept it empty just to make sure that they wouldn't, you know, randomly get attacked or die. But yeah, it seems to work quite well with all these creatures in here. We have some more places to watch them, study them, and make sure they're doing very well in this enclosure. So yeah, it's a simple enclosure, but I mean, in this size, you probably don't want to go too crazy and too big. And then right next door to it is actually a breeding facility. Of course, both in ARK and in a Jurassic Park like this, you would need a proper breeding facility. So you can see the security measures in place here, the fences here to keep things out. You can also see some really cool breeding projects here with the Wax Pino mod and the new Paleo mod there with the Lidus. Some Quetzals up there, some really cool Karchas in here, and actually a really cool fence design around this place. Really, really cool. And the main facility, which is really cool because it both looks awesome as a breeding facility, but it's actually being used as a breeding facility during this event, which is quite cool. Good insights for me because I build a lot of things that I think would be good for breeding, but I don't really breed, so I don't really know what you actually need. And this spot we can see is actually designed by someone that does a lot of breeding. But this is where function also still meets some really cool designs, because as you can see, it still looks like a really cool build. So we have the top level here, which is of course perfect for your flyers, as you can see by the tappies, PTs, Quetzals around the top. We even have a level where you can just kind of fly in. That's quite useful. Lots of space around here as well for breeding projects, and also a little kitten garden apparently. You can adopt a cat if you want to. We've got some really cool rooftops. Yeah, these bunker structures in general, even with this little paint job that they gave it, looks really, really cool. And just, there's so many awesome pieces in it, which makes it one of my favorites to use. We got some trikes down here. We got a little garden in the middle. Also really, really cool to bring in some greenery. We got some different layers here. This is also working with the terrain a little bit because it's quite hilly, but it actually gives a really cool layered effect for your tames. You got some Edmontonias out here too, looking very, very cool. And then we got the second part. We have this kind of bridge connecting the two sections, which is quite cool. Some extra doors here to get in and out, some plants around the outside to decorate. And then we got the main breeding hall here on the other side, which is definitely looking like there's some breeding projects going on. So we got some trikes, theries, UTs, some rexes here, or maybe tarbo. No, these are tarbos, I think, judging by their looks. Got some ceratos, some stegos. Yeah, so you can really see this is an organized breeding facility out here. Definitely a lot of breeding has happened here. So yeah, we got the trikes. We also have these back passageways, which are quite cool. I think there's a little pen here as well for some dillos, which is really cool. Again, just really nice seeing this all structured. As you can see, they kind of have their designated areas. Of course, ARK does its thing where they kind of glitch through the ground, so we kind of need to make sure that it realizes the creatures are there. I think that's when the structures load in later than the creatures or something. It's really silly, but you know, it's one of those ARK things. I really like the look of these UTs as well. They look really, really cool. Tarbos, of course, are awesome. We got more creatures back here. Some Plateos, some Raptors, some Mororaptors. Everything here. Oh, my favorite. Oh, I need to actually check on these before we close the event. But yeah, it's really cool to see. This is very structured, of course, from someone that actually does breeding. But yeah, there's a decent amount of space in here for a ton of breeding that happened here. And then, of course, just making sure that you have a secured courtyard like this means that you can also do breeding for your bigger creatures. I think he even did some breeding on top of the roof. So yeah, definitely plenty of space for some cool breeding. And it just looks really cool. Got the river right next to it as well. Just a really cool place. Then one of the other enclosures that we've made is actually a very natural looking one. You probably won't even notice here, but there's some extra rocks that have been placed here using JVH landscaping to kind of create a natural barrier. In some spots like this you might clearly see, and it's actually a really large area, and it was all meant to house some of our giants. Now there's a few in here. As you can see, they're actually fighting some wild creatures like usual. I think they're actually fighting a wild Moro at the moment. We have our Karchas, we have our Wax Pino, we have our Gigas, of course, all in here. And actually also one of the Moro Rexes in here. Currently they're taking care of this, but of course these bigger creatures also need a spot. But we just have a very, very big enclosure for them, so they can roam free, do their apex thing. I kind of brought them together here so I could show them in the video, because if they're all spread out, it's kind of hard to find them. But there's some really cool colors, as you can see. Some really cool combinations have been bred during the event. Oh, I think we won. So now you can all kind of go, be free. Let's see. He listened to me at least. There we go. Yeah, they're all out here. But that's not the only thing. There's actually a lot more around close to this area. One of it is these awesome domes up here. And these domes are the Dimorphodon enclosures. Really cool and really awesome builds made by Aura. She did an amazing job on these, and you'll see just in a second why. She actually made different like biomes. So this is the Scorched Earth inspired one, and yeah, you'll see a bunch of dimorphs. There's even a tappy parked in here as well, and you can see it's completely decorated in style of Scorched Earth, which is really, really cool. Really some magic using JVH landscaping to create your own custom little biome domes, as you can see. And then we can actually go to Aberration through here. So just by walking through this customly made little cave, we get into the Aberration area, as you can see. totally different vibes in here. Again, some dimorphs hanging out in here. The aberrant variants, another tappy that is really, really cool. And yeah, feels like we're closed off from the normal world into our own little slice of aberration. Really, really nice. Yeah, it's so cool the way that this really just transforms you and takes you to a whole new place with all these little details to make something really unique and really cool. But that's not all. Besides those two, we have some more continuing up over here. So we'll make our way up to the island. So this is where a little bit more of your typical surroundings. As you can see, some water in here using cosmetics. We got some dimorphs in here too, of course, as well as a little tappy. They all seem to be very focused on this piece of the enclosure. But yeah, we have some lovely creatures out here and another really cool bit of landscaping done in here. Oh, there's even some other creatures hidden there. Very, very, very cool. So then we can move on and follow the other one. We have the blooming fields coming up. Actually, some really cool water exhibits built down there too. Looking quite cool. I think there is a staircase for us to follow up here so that we can get to this final dome up here. I think this is the final dome at least. And again, this one is also looking really cool. A little bit more fantasy. A little bit more of a custom thing. Custom biome. But again, looking very cool. Plenty of dimorphs here. Looking very, very cozy indeed. Next, we'll forgive the Microraptor. We'll forgive it. But yeah, some really, really cool domes for the dimorph displays. This really feels quite like visiting like the zoo, where you can go in and out of different displays, you know, and visit some creatures. So yeah, really cool on a really pretty tough area to build on these rocks, but she did an amazing job at it. So then we have another dome, as you can see, and this is the Quetzal and Tapejara Enclosure. Another cool sign, and this one was made, well, the sign was made by Wild, but the build was made by Wild and Ness together. And first of all, we got this really lovely little area to approach the build using the waterfall coming from the enclosure and the little river that starts here. JVH landscaping, of course, to really spruce up this area. And then we have the super cool enclosure itself. So there's a bunch of tappies in here, some Quetzals flying around. I had to spawn in some wild ones because, you know, by default your tamed ones don't fly randomly if you put them on wander, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, really big dome, as you can see. Really, really big dome, but a really cool build as well. So yeah, you have kind of this walkway into the middle of the enclosure with this really cool little tiki bar or cafe, and then you have some awesome views of the surroundings. This was already a pretty cool area, but then they did some custom landscaping to dress it up as well. Really feels like a really cool habitat for these creatures, including these custom built nests with the rocks and actual nests in there. You can see some of them parked up at the nests, and yeah, it just looks really, really cool. We'll get into a closer look of the inside. There's still some tappies just chilling out on the top of the walkway. That's totally fine. But yeah, you can see there's water in here. Yeah, there's just a bunch of cool little details. But yeah, this again, it really feels like a proper park in here, right? Like, this is where you could come, you could have your drink whilst enjoying the amazing views of all the creatures. And of course, ARK's derpy AI is making all the Quetzals just trying to fly out the side of the thing, but we'll ignore that for now because it is a really cool build. Let me just get in there. So you can actually walk all the way around the enclosure here along the outside too. So if you just want to enjoy the view, there's plenty of spots where you can do that from, as you can see. There's even this little area to the side where you can do that even more, you know. Might be some shows on display sometimes, maybe if it's like feeding time, you know, where you really want to be there, sit down and enjoy the view. And then over here there's actually a little side entrance to get in to the proper Quetzal Dome. Again, these Quetzals are just kind of derpy along the side, but yeah, probably nothing I can do to change that. But yeah, we have this really cool custom made rock formation. You can see the Quetzal parked up, you can see some of the nests parked, some of the tappies around the nests too for some cool effects. And then of course, oh yeah, it just feels quite natural, doesn't it? Like this would be a really cool thing to see. I mean, you know, with a little bit of imagination, you could see creatures like this in the wild going back to nests and everything. Like imagine that was a thing. That would be so cool. But oh, a Pteranodon got in somehow, or spawned inside, I suppose. Could be. It's quite a big build. But yeah, look at this. It just, it's so cool. It's so magical. This is Jurassic Park, and it is pretty damn cool, isn't it? And next up is the Raptor Paddock, of course, based on the one from Jurassic World. I actually did a tutorial on this build a long time ago already. This time I decided to build it, however, using the bunker cosmetics, which really transform it to the next level. And I added a big pen around it as well for some free roaming for the raptors. And there's a few different creatures in there as well. There's a Carno, there's some compies, some dillos, just to really, you know, get a little bit of the variety in there as well, because it is a rather big enclosure. But yeah, still pretty cool, still pretty recognizable. We got this little cage here. We have a little bit of an actual stables in here, which you could do some breeding. And then of course we have this main bit that you might know with all the walkways, etc. That is a little bit more jungly. We have a few of the creatures roaming around here for a really cool effect, I think. And yeah, we got some of these raptors chilling in here as well. But then there's a whole bigger enclosure around here. So I've got a tutorial on how to build this paddock. I also have a tutorial actually how to do this fence design, which I quite like. And this was bringing it into practice, you know, over a bigger part. It's definitely a lot of work getting a fence, you know, with this kind of detailed design, but it does look quite cool. We've got some raptor packs roaming around in here. There is also some compies. They are quite hard to spot. They're easier to hear actually than to see, but yeah, you can see some more raptors off there in the distance. So yeah, it's quite cool. Sometimes you don't really see things because they really like to hide themselves in all the bushes and stuff, but they are here and they are just merrily going around in their raptor paddock. But yeah, it was fun to build this and bring it into something a bit more of a proper park with all these different enclosures around. So this enclosure is actually right underneath the survival camp here in the Green Ob Valley. It is a beautiful enclosure meant for baryonyx and Sarco, but because we didn't end up making another pen here in a lake, I also added in some Dinosuchus and a Capro. So yeah, this is our croc infested waters, so very dangerous if you do fall down into it, but it's a very pretty location built by Mr. Wild, and it's looking absolutely awesome as always. And we have a really cool custom sign here as well. Again, it was meant to be just for Sarcos and baryonyx. I just decided to add the other crocs as well, but you can see a very cool custom sign using the Scribbles mod. And we have a really cool gate here, mostly designed using the bunker cosmetic, some JVH landscaping for the detailing, and overall it just looks really cool. There's also some of the barbed wire and like chain link fences skins in here. But yeah, you can see you have a really good view over here. We have the crocs in the water going all crazy in there. There's some berries out there too. We got the bigger crocs. We got a lovely cute little island in the middle too, where the crocs can climb on board and, you know, bask in the sun a little bit, which is really cool. This is all done with JVH landscaping to build some custom land that way. But yeah, looks quite cool. You can see some detailing going on around here with these rocks. Some of these rocks at the sides are actually custom as well. We have a bunch of these guys in here swimming around, hanging out, and just having a good time trying to escape, I suppose. Silly little creatures. But yeah, you can see there's a few creatures in there. Got lovely little walkway. This is kind of a bridge, maybe not too realistic, but there is an invisible wall here, so they can't get out. And it looks a little bit nice that way, I suppose. So yeah, really nice and simple, elegant fencing system here to keep them in. And this is the entrance into the paddock itself if you want to swim with the Sarco and Barys, but probably not very safe to do so. You have been warned, but really cool place. Then over here we have some nice viewing platforms that you really can enjoy these creatures from a safe place, and a really nice viewing position as well. Like you can really quite clearly see them swimming around in here. And then there's actually a staircase all the way up to the top over here with a lot of detail along the way, just little like sections with plants and everything. But more importantly, there's also actually a little control room here, you know, watching out over this enclosure, keeping everything safe. I love little details like this to really bring a build alive. And yeah, we have a pretty nice viewing platform up here as well. We can take an eye out on these crocs, make sure that they're not escaping, because they are known to escape. It is a Jurassic Park facility after all. They do tend to find their way outside, but yeah, really lovely staircase all the way up to base. You can see some of the awesome plant details around, and of course just a really nice pen for our crocs over here. Up next is the Rex enclosure over here, still in the Green Orb Valley, just slightly going into this little redwood section that it has. As you can see, some really cool fence designs going on here, again using some of the ASR structures, which have some really cool options for like pillars and beams, etc. We can also see that ASR at the bottom combined with the bunker cosmetics to make for a really cool enclosure wall, really cool fence design, and even a little watchtower that actually looks really nice here, where you can kind of, you know, keep an eye out on the Rexes inside. So yeah, we of course use the paleo mod, so we have a legacy Rex in there. I think there's another legacy Rex, or maybe it's another legacy Rex in there, and we have a turbo over here also looking really cool in this enclosure. Actually a really nice area with this landscape around. Looks quite nice. Yeah, so they're just kind of wandering around in that lovely spot. Of course, the apex predator of many a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie, and yeah, looking quite cool, I have to say. Again, really nice fence design going on. Feels secure. I feel safe. I do feel like I should also have one of the normal Rexes in here. There we go. We also have the normal Paleo Evo Rex over here, as well as the actual Paleo variant with like the little bit of fur along the back, looking quite cool. So now we can say it's a complete Rex enclosure. All the Paleo variants are now in here. Looking very cool. Looking very secure though. I feel safe. I feel like it's a safe enclosure. That is definitely what you want from your Rexes. And we have another dome on the menu. Of course, there's another flying creature that we haven't seen yet, and that is the Pteranodon. So we have another dome. It's kind of like the medium size between the two others that we've seen so far. This is using a lot of ASR structures, as you can see, which is quite cool because you have like the steeper, bigger variant pieces as well. You can see you can get quite a good curved dome together, and yeah, makes for a really cool build. Definitely feels like something we could see in Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. As you can see, all the way around, cool dome, cool reinforced design. And then what I actually also really like, you know, in the ARK world is that there's actually like a little base underneath it. It's built from a cliff platform, which is of course a good start for a circle. It's got a bunch of JVH landscaping to get some like nice details in here. Of course, a bunch of PTs, both tamed, and I got some wild ones in here in the hopes that they would fly. Some of them seem to have caught that memo. Some of them are still just walking on the ground, but that doesn't matter. We can imagine them just kind of flying around and doing what pteranodons would do. They are a little bit more friendly, of course, than the ones that you might see in the actual Jurassic Park movies, because they were quite vicious and scary. But yeah, again, this makes for a really cool build, really cool enclosure, and I guess this would also just really work as a breeding pen in ARK, right? Like, building a big dome like this is a pretty cool aviary by itself. So yeah, definitely another really cool build. Again, lots of cool little details, decorations out here to bring the whole sphere to life, which is very nice, you know, getting little ecosystem within the dome. And then especially now that some of these pteranodons are flying around in it, it quite feels like a proper enclosure, doesn't it? Really, really cool. And we also built some events, some of them very Jurassic Parky, like this one, which is based on the San Diego Zoo arena that they show very quickly, of course, in the actual movies, but we needed a big arena, and this is just that. So we have a big circle, of course, where we could do a bunch of battles inside of, and I mean, it's kind of just big stands, like you would imagine that they would showcase some creatures here normally in Jurassic Park, again using the bunker cosmetic, using some ASR as well to get some really cool builds in there. We even have some custom billboards using scribble signs made by Mr. Wild, looking very, very, very cool, and some custom adverts which are very, very nice. Of course, I didn't even have a name for this event, but here we do now. The Wave Rave Showdown, the next wave is coming in. Yeah, this was a really fun event and actually a really cool build. I mean, in its essence, it's quite simple, of course. It's a big circle, but to pull it off in survival in a relatively short time was quite cool to see. And we have a lot of JVA's rocks around the outside because that's kind of the way this build is meant to be, but makes for a very fun event and for a very cool build, so I did want to show that off. And another mini game that we played on the event was Capture the Dodo, as you can see here. Not necessarily very Jurassic Parky, but a very fun game. Of course, it's kind of just capture the flag. Both teams on both sides have a little bunker with like different equipment for each round. Like sometimes we would do only melee, we would only explosive spares, we would do just, you know, shotguns or just simple pistols. You'd have to defend your dodo, and of course the other team needs to steal your dodo and bring it all the way back to their base. But yeah, you can see some really cool custom fences going on around the outside. I mean, we have the little starter bunkers for each team on both sides as well, where they can respawn and grab their gear. And then we have a bunch of little obstacles along the way to weave in and out from, you know, ambush the other team, or just kind of try to get like a nice vantage point in the tower. It's actually been remodeled a little bit with some new buildings here in the middle. It's definitely a game I hope we can bring back in the future more often for just people playing on the normal cluster. We can just kind of host these kind of games and events in the weekends and stuff like that, because I think it will be very fun. And this looks actually really cool already. Like it kind of makes a choke point where every kind of has to meet in the middle, and then on the other side you kind of have the same thing going on, some different bunkers. We have the blue dodo and then another little team bunker on there, and of course the grandstand at the side for if you want to just come over and watch the whole thing go down. But yeah, very, very cool. Love the way that this looks, and yeah, very fun game to play. It's simple, but it's very fun. And maybe not necessarily very Jurassic Parky, but at least the build looks still very Jurassic Parky, and it's a cool way to build a proper apiary for your bees and honey. And as you can see, this looks quite cozy. A lot of JVH landscaping details around the outside here. I also like these details on the walls. I think those might be from the wall and floor deco mod. I'm loving these fancy doors too. And then yeah, we can go inside. We have a bunch of beehives here to basically produce all of your honey. We have the bunker structure cosmetics, of course, for some of the overgrown bits. Ooh, we have a little display here with some cool bees. Very, very nice. And of course, just a bunch of plants and flowers to really bring it all to life in a really cozy little design. This is a really cool way to keep your bees, for sure. Like, instead of just plunking down your beehive somewhere, or maybe if you're using mulch, just plunking them down into a cryo fridge or down a terminal. Yeah, this is a really nice little build. You could, I guess you could even combine it a little bit, like having maybe some crop plots and stuff to also make it your greenhouse. But yeah, I like this. And then I guess this is another like breeding facility, but then again for land tames. So even though it is at the ocean side, it is the hatchery here. So they have, again, a little bit of a safe area. They do also have a little water enclosure for some shallow water creatures that can survive that. And yeah, we have a decently sized building up here. It looks like there's also room here on the roof to do some breeding for your flyers, or at least park your flyers. But let's check out the insides over here. We have some of the Moro structures here to make the Moro creatures there too. Lots of space here on the inside. I think it's already been cleaned out. But yeah, this is where they've been hatching their babies, you know, doing all their breeding things. There we go. We have the egg collector all nicely sorted. Very, very nice. So yeah, we have another breeding facility. Oh yeah, we have some incubators here. Look at how organized this all is. All neatly organized all the way around, hatching those eggs. And then we have some staircases to different levels. We have some creatures left here still. We have, oops, that was a little too fast. Need to be careful on the stairs. And we have little lounge area over here, looking very cozy if you're waiting for that creature to finally hatch. And then we have another staircase going up here, which I think leaves us to the rooftop to get access to that. And a little honorable mention for the radio tower bunker from Jurassic Park or World. I forget which movie it is in exactly. This case, of course, the satellite bunker. I did a full build story on this, of course, but I also built it here on the event as kind of a well, general meeting place. It was also for some events, an important location, and just to have a tribe tower to boost ourselves with. And yeah, quite a fun design. Definitely fits the Jurassic vibes, of course, and really standing tall here on one of these hills or mountain peaks overlooking the entire Green Ob Valley. There we go. That is it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing all these builds from Jurassic Park. Hopefully you can get some inspiration if you want to do your own Jurassic Park inspired builds. Again, there won't be any tutorials for these builds unless there was specifically my builds, and in that case there's already a tutorial for them. So yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hope to see you again in the next video or stream. For now, goodbye.